Begin transmission.
This program is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised.
Happy New Year, everybody. It's good to see y'all in. We'll get started in just a second here. I want to do a quick shout out to my Patreons real quick. Thank you so much, Grindhead Jim, Pope, Will McLaughlin, Jim Largo, Rolo, Masters Maniac Mexico, and Bjorn Jorgensen for helping support this channel and keep us going. Thank you so much. And if you notice over in the comment section in the chat, my wife came in earlier today and just before the show started, and she said that she is having a sad day and her heart is broken. And I'll go ahead and let you guys know that a very good friend of mine's son passed away on New Year's Eve, and we're kind of dealing with that here. So I hate that, but you know, we'll deal with that, and I appreciate you guys understanding. So let's see who all showed up today. Zazel from Sergeant Slaughterhouse comes in and says Happy New Year. Thank you, Zazel, for coming in. Let's see, Gojitron in the house. He says Happy New Year. Expect this show to be both weird and fantastic. Well, it will be. It always is. Ian Sweeney is in. He says evening, everyone. And he says, Happy New Year, and may the worst of your future be the best of your past. Thank you so much, sir. Will McLaughlin at Wilhelm Toy and Hobby says, Happy New Year to everyone. Ian Sweeney says, he's impressed with himself. The New Year's barely 18 hours old here, and I have yet to make an impulse eBay purchase. Yay, me! I made some impulse purchases over the last month, and I'm going to suffer for it here in the first part of the year. Gojitron says, if anyone has an hour to kill later, check out my New Year's collection room tour. That we will do. And if anybody in here is a wrench, if you would post a link to Gojitron's YouTube channel, do that, please. Sergeant Slaughter's giving us a cup of cheer there. Thank you, sir. And Radical Moms in the house telling everybody Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. Rolando Flores is here saying hello to everyone. And let's see who else. Get some catch up on the chat here. Boba Hicks is here. Hey, Boba Hicks, good to hear from you. Got some condolences there from Wilhelm Toy and Hobby, and also from Sergeant Slaughter and Gojitron. And Ian Sweeney says parents burying children just shouldn't happen in peace. Yeah, that's true. I agree. I really agree. Shaitan's Hammer in the house. Shaitan's Hammer has been watching some older videos and putting some posts up, and I saw everything that you posted, sir, and liked and hearted all of them. And thank you for going back and rewatching some of those older streams. And Gojitron says hello to everyone. Wilhelm says Zazel has some exciting transmissions from Space Commander. Check it out. We certainly will. And thank you for posting that YouTube link there, Wilhelm. And Boa Hicks is pointing up at it. So there we go. All right. So I got everybody started up here. So Jim Largo is here with me today. Hey, Jim, how's it going, man?
It's going pretty well. Happy New Year to you and our chat.
So did you have a long night last night, Jim?
I am still having a long night. I haven't really gone to bed yet. I napped a little bit.
Oh
Our buddy
my.
Grindhead had us Patreon, and we were doing a meet and greet there, and it went into the wee hours.
All right. Well, Gap After Dark has showed up. Hey, Gap, good to see you. And we're going to get started here. Our buddy Wilhelm is down there. I'm waiting on a couple other folks that I have invited. Hopefully, World Made of Cardboard can show up. And I know Michael Purvis is on his way home, and he says he'd be a little late, but he's going to be here. And what we want to do when we get the panel together, we're going to continue our discussion that we had from Friday about adult collectors playing with their toys and how they do that. Because I thought that was
Sounds
an
good.
interesting discussion. It had just got started good, and we had to go ahead and cut it short that day. Let's see what Shaitan's Hammer is saying here. He says, I bought a random Motu figure from Barnes & Noble online. It's literally a blind buy and not sure what figure I will end up with. Okay. So basically, they do like Walmart. It's just a Motu figure. You don't know which one you're going to get, and you just order it. I didn't fall for it, but I remember at the back when the Wave 2 was coming out that never showed up in the United States. Walmart online had a picture of Manny Face's figure up there, and beside it said Motu action figure or something like that. And if you ordered it, you didn't get Manny Faces. You got a random Motu figure from Wave 1.
It's peculiar.
Yeah. And Ian Sweeney says a miscolored Man-at-Arms minus armor. I'm not sure what he's talking about there. Resurrection Toys, that may be Rolo there, says something in German. Die Twitching Parten. Basically speaking German there to me. Good to see you there, Rolo. Matter of fact, I'll throw Rolo a quick link to this if he wants to come in. Gojitron's at work today, so he won't be in. I did throw him an invite. Thank you, Gojitron. Hope you. It's sad that you got to work on New Year's Day. I mean, good grief, man. There. Rolo, I'm sending this to you on Facebook Messenger. I don't know if you check that often, but that's what I've got here to send it to you. Here's the link to the to the StreamYard if you want to come in and hang out with us today. And let's see what else people are saying. World Made of Cardboard says I'm currently driving, and we'll try to join in later. Well, that's cool. That's cool. I mean, we'll just play it by ear till then. There's a lot of things we can talk about. Boba Hicks is saying that I got caught out by that type of thing in catalogs back in the day. The item in the picture wasn't necessarily what you would get. Yeah, it happens.
Yep. That's kind of the way it was with mail order brides. I knew many a guy in the service that went down that road.
The thing about guys in the service and getting married, it's almost become a meme. You meet a girl for 15 minutes and then suddenly they're going to go get married. And usually it's because the girl's some kind of a dependopotamus. Do you know what a dependopotamus is?
Yes, sir. I've seen quite a few of those.
There's also the triceratops. Have you heard of the triceratops?
I have not heard of that one.
Yeah, well, the medical benefits for dependents is called TRICARE, and the triceratops will get the serviceman to marry it so that it can get the TRICARE.
Well, our man on the streets, our resident Florida man, is out and about. Maybe we can get his perspective on some of this.
All right. Let's see if we can bring him on in. Hey, what's going on there, Will?
Happy New Year, everyone, and
hopefully it'll be a happy one. This is what I told everyone last night when the balloon dropped. I said, look, every year I say the same stupid thing. I say, well, maybe this year will be better than last year. Well, I refuse to say that anymore because it always ends up not being true. So maybe this year will be just really, really, really crappy, and then it'll be the opposite of what I said.
Yeah. It was a late night last night, and I bowed out probably around after the third Happy New Year. I think it was the West Coast one. It was like 3 a.m.
Oh,
or 2 a.m. Yeah, I laid down and I popped on YouTube real quick just to see what was on there, and I started watching Gojatron's room tour. And not for any reason, about the video, but I fell asleep listening to Gojatron doing his room tour. And I got to tell you guys, I had nothing but wonderful dreams. I woke up feeling nice, well, and relaxed. I finished the video. I got about halfway through it, and then I fell asleep. Got halfway through it. Watched the rest of it this morning. It is 50 minutes long, but it is worth every single minute of it. Gojatron, did you do that all in one take? Because if you did, that is impressive. But yeah, he's got a wonderful collection, and you guys really should check it out. And
the dulcet tones of Gojatron
yes,
put you into the arms of Morpheus.
Oh,
We know he's got a great collection. We've seen bits and pieces here and there, so I'm looking forward to the
there's something
tour.
for everyone. There is something for everyone. Gojatron hits everything. It's a really nice broad scope.
Well, I had to attend. Well, had is the wrong word. I went to a New Year's party last night for my club, my motorcycle club, and I had to work at the door that night, so I didn't really get to do a lot of partying. I was mainly collecting money and giving out wristbands and selling tickets and shit like that. But
so you were out last night.
yeah,
Are you currently serving as an officer, Bill?
No, I have served as secretary treasurer, and that's the longest I've served. I've served for over 8 years as secretary treasurer of that club, and then I was vice president for probably about a year and a half, and now I'm just a RFM, and I don't know if you know that term or not. Masters Maniac, give me 5 minutes. He's incoming. All right, good deal. I love it.
Yeah, good point there too with Resurrection Toys. They unveiled the completed Kraken last night.
Oh my God!
But Jim showed a complete thing there, and they said it's ready to go to production. I think, right?
Oh wow!
Sorry, guys, my dog's barking. Hold on one second.
Gojatron is a proud godfather of the Kraken. He'll be pleased when he sees a completed render there.
I want that thing so god dang bad. Oh wow!
It's a coming.
I don't think he's going to blow anything up, but yeah. And if he does,
well, he's referencing a little love letter that he did for Grindhead. He did a special fireworks display with a certain tiger, if you know what I mean.
Oh, blowed the thing up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's that. I wish I had seen that. Is it on Twitch?
I believe it's going to be on Grindhead's clip show, and that should be public this morning. It should be up there right now on just the regular Grindhead Jim channel.
To watch that if I can. There's so much to watch. Last night after the festivities were over with, I went and ate a hamburger at Waffle House and watched a little bit of JPR's show over at AOM TV, and then came home and ended up going to bed after I just couldn't stay up any longer. So yeah, that thing I've watched it from its while it was being created, and I've seen some pre-production pictures of that thing, and I just can't wait to see what it's going to look like in person. I want to see the thing.
They're doing some impressive work. Marcos is an excellent sculptor, and I think this is going to be a turning point for Resurrection Toys. I think once this thing gets out and about and people start talking about it, they're going to blow up in a good way.
See if I hang up here. Did I take that off? Oh, here we go. Let me play this real quick, guys.
All right.
the clock.
Resurrection toys
Wow.
would bring your imagination back to life, and of course the sculpt of that model is going to look even more impressive than what you saw there. There apparently there is going to be a stone colored variant. However, that variant does not fall apart, so don't expect that. But I just cannot wait to see what that's going to actually be like in person, and I'm sure that it's going to have a wonderful place here in my collection. Probably He-Man and his buddies are going to end up fighting that thing, so it's just something to have here. Will's still checking on his dog, I guess. So we'll put you back up here when you get back in the room. Just unmute yourself when you're back and show your face. There
I'm back. I was just I was linking the Resurrection Toys page. Sorry.
We got Adam here.
Adam, how are you? Happy New Year, buddy.
Matter of fact, let me get up here and send Adam a link so he can come in if he wants to. Will, I was going to ask you about 3D printing a little bit, because you and I are fixing to get ready to do a little bit of collaboration on that.
Yes, and I got the file. I had some ideas too. I was working on the other night, but I haven't had a chance to go revisit it. It was had to do with the tentacle pit. That was a free file, so I downloaded that one. But it's huge. Those tentacles are massive. So I was thinking, I don't know if you saw, I did some videos. They're back there, but the Elmer's squishies, they're like a squishy little critter.
Yeah.
Let me grab one. Anyway, the reason I picked these up was because I thought they might be useful for action figure accessories or something. Like if I could 3D print the mold, pour this little solution in there, and then make something. Don't you think this squishy material might make a cool tentacle?
That might, but let me tell you something.
Yeah.
It's that I was thinking about this as well. They're about the size of your fingers, but there are tentacle finger puppets out there. Have you seen those?
Oh, true.
And I think you can buy them on Amazon.com. I thought about buying those at one time, but I haven't pulled the trigger on those. But yeah, let's see. They're talking about in the chat here the power of the. Hey, Joneser's with us. Say hello, everybody.
Happy New Year, buddy.
Happy New Year to you guys as well.
But anyway, Ian Sweeney says, how is it the Power of the Force 2 bunker appears to look better and has more features than the soon-to-be released pricey TVC version? And then Gochutron responds to that and says,
collection.
The Power of the Force 2 bunker comes with a tree attached, and the new one does not. I prefer Power of the Force 2.
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull. Oh, I don't have it, but.
And Michael Purvis is in the chat there. Michael, you've got the link there in your inbox on Facebook. So
yeah, but with the 3D printing, so since the tentacles are so big, what I thought I would do is just print you up a set that are just normal. They'll be plastic. You can paint them up however you like, and also get you that other item that we'll print up. And then I was thinking, I'll still mess around with it, but maybe I'll just use some silicone or something like that, and maybe try to make them. And you could have them as an alternative. So you'll get
That sounds good. That sounds good.
the
It
regular
really does.
tentacles, the experimental squishy ones, and the lava. So we'll do it that way.
Yeah, and what Will is referring to is right now. Let me pull a toy cam up real quick and let you guys kind of see. Back here behind everything, you can see that I've got a basically a proof of concept going on back here of the blood falls that's on Snake Mountain back there. What I found was that there is a 3D printing site that actually has a 3D print of the blood falls that you can print
Oh,
out.
that's blood. I thought it was lava. I don't know why.
It can be it can be slime, it can be lava, it can be pretty
Okay.
much anything that you would
No, I
like.
was even looking into buying like a filament that maybe more like looked like lava, like it was like orange, red, and yellow or something, and like kind
That's
of.
fine.
But if you want to do
Whatever
blood
you
red,
do
we
is
could
fine
do
with
it.
me. It's basically supposed to be blood. It's
Oh,
called the
okay.
blood falls, but some people paint it as green slime. And here's Rolo. Let's pop him in here real quick.
Okay.
Hey, Rolo. We're
Happy New
starting.
Year,
Hey,
Rolo.
Rolo.
How are you?
We got a
Who is
pretty
noise? Yeah.
good panel going on here, but. As I would continue here, yeah, it's supposed to be blood, but some people paint it as green slime. Some people I've seen it painted as lava, like you said. But
Okay.
I was going to make it a blood falls. I was going to take some fire engine red, something really, really red, and I was
Okay.
going to.
I'll just send it to you as gray. It'll just be gray, plain filament.
That's fine.
Or, it could
But
be
I was
something
going
else.
to spray paint that thing red, and then I was going to put a few white highlights in there, and to kind of make it look like blood kind of flowing down. And
They're up to some evil there if that's a blood waterfall, though, man. Right? What are they
yeah.
getting? Jeez.
Well, it's never been explained, and the only places that I've seen it talked about is in like the Filmation Bible, which there's a lot of stuff in that. You don't have to do that just to take a tote. Anyway, anyway, that's kind of
Whatever do you mean? I don't know.
Yeah, right. Okay. But, and on the inside of Snake Mountain, below the net trap, there's a little pool there of some slime with some creatures coming out of it. And in the classics version of the Snake Mountain, the big, huge classic version, they actually had a 3D model that went in there of that. Well, another person on this 3D site had taken that 3D model and sized it down so that it would fit in the vintage Snake Mountain, and we're going to print that up, and we're going to work on some different ways. Somebody on Twitch is fucking around here, and
oh, I don't have Twitch admin. I was trying to get rid of that, but what is that?
you can't get rid of that because it's over on Twitch, and I'd have to have somebody with some Twitch powers to get rid of it. So
sorry, yeah.
I got Twitch powers. If you want, I can get rid of it.
It looks like it's some kind of spam.
Yeah, it's spam.
Yeah, if you want, I go to the channel and.
Yeah, but guys, that should be really exciting. I'm going to do a short video of making the item, and then I'm gonna send it over to Bill, and he's gonna take it over and finish it and put it on his display there. So it should be really exciting. That should be coming pretty soon,
I
guys.
don't know how long it's going to take for all that to happen, but we're gonna get that done. And like I said, if everything works out well, I may end up spending the better part of this new year working on Snake Mountain some more. The other day, if you guys, I think it was on the Friday open mic, I ended up finishing out Point Dread here on camera. I actually cut all this out and put it together and put inside of Point Dread. So my Point Dread is complete.
Yeah, looking good. And hello, Michael. Happy New Year, buddy. How are you?
How you doing? Y'all doing good?
I got an instruction sheet for Snake Mountain for cheap. So My Snake Mountain is almost complete except for the manacles, which I have coming from Talos Green Shop. They'll be here at some point within the next month or so,
Yeah.
I
Hey,
suppose.
Bill, that same user over there on Colts 3D had a lot of accessories for Snake Mountain. Now, I didn't know because I'm not as well into it if any of those other ones would be useful to you as well. But I will
What all
tell
would he
you,
have? I didn't get. I was at work when I
oh,
throwed that at
okay. He has, I don't remember them all because I'm not that familiar with it, but most of them are only $1 or two.
you.
So, you just take another look at it and let me know if there's anything else you need as I'll be shipping it. But I haven't even started printing it yet, so we're good.
I
It's
didn't
starting.
expect. I expect you to get to just hop on it immediately. I mean, I know that we have lives. I've got several
Yeah.
lives here. I've got a collection of magazines that are called Life. I've got the sports team, and I've also sometimes I go in and I buy this cereal, so I do have some life here.
Sir, it's starting to lag because there's many
Indeed.
people on. So I will go out, but not before giving Will the asked tip for making accessories in a very, very simple and cheap way, my
Okay.
friend.
I want to hear
So
this.
yeah, so you just take some ordinary molding clay and you mix it up like 1-to-1 with blue stuff. This
Yeah,
is
I know what blue stuff is.
it's
Yeah.
all right. This is something from plumbery. So this is kind of a glue that you usually use to stick together tubes. And if you mix that up, you get kind of these really nice structure. And if you put that into what is called grip negative, then you can get
Okay.
it out without any hesitation. Give a little bit of oil into the mold before, and it will fall. It will simply fall out, right? And with the blue stuff, it's just like without vacuum chamber, an hour and a half of curing,
Is
and
that
it's
right?
perfect. Yeah, it
Oh,
is.
nice.
It is perfect. And it has
Awesome.
this little flexibility, so it's not that fragile as you would print
Yeah,
it.
and it'd probably be a little more cost effective than that stuff
Yes.
too, because
Yes, you
that
get a
stuff
lot
is
of out of it. A lot out of it. You can
on
make
the
a
refill packs on this. It's easy, very easy to use, but you can see the size. Each one of these costs about $3 to make
yeah,
in the
no.
materials, and
And
so
that's
it's
another
fun
thing I
for
wanted.
a one-time thing, but for extended use, it's probably not cost effective.
So there's another thing. If you want, I can get you our squishy recipe. Well, we are doing these for many years, and I don't think there's any hassle about it, giving it privately to
Keep
you.
talking. I could sit here and listen to you all day.
No, it's a pleasure. I just send it to you by email, and then you have your fun. It's easy to do. It's not expensive at all, my friend.
Please do.
I will. I
All
will.
right,
And that
man.
being
Thank
said,
you so much.
I say goodbye
All right.
All right.
because it's starting to lag here, and I don't want to block you up here. But I'm
Uh,
going to stay in the chat here.
Thank you, Rolo. Thanks for
Yeah,
coming by,
thank you,
man.
Rollo. You're
Matter
the
of fact,
best,
you
man.
got the link. You can come back here when we get the discussion started. Largo is going to be rotating people around a little bit.
Exactly.
We're
I
gonna
just want to keep the space so that your stream is fluid. But whenever there's a discussion, I'll be back. I'll be here all the time, my friend. I
okay,
just don't want to block
cool.
you.
Thanks, Rolo. All right. Let's see where we are now. I'm going to turn on some names here so people will know who we have here. And of course, we have me and we have Largo here. We have Wilhelm Toy and Hobby is with us. We have Michael Purvis from Manic Plastic Toys. And we also have Motu Joneser here with us. Good to see you guys. Hope you all are having a happy new year. Joneser, I'm going to bring you up full because I want to talk to you just a second. How are you doing? I've been kind of worried about you lately.
I'm a lot better now. I got a pretty good scare there over the holidays. I ended up in the ER. We had some crazy blood pressure, 200 over 100, and with some pain in the arm you don't want it in, and so got a good little scare. But we did I don't know if it's a CT scan and then a chest X-ray and then all this stuff, and it basically turned out to be stress.
Okay.
So go figure. You know, so there was no problem with the ticker. I did
Same
do a
thing
sleep.
last year happened to me, man. I thought my heart was gonna jump out of my chest. I mean, I could feel it. Like,
What was really scary for me is I had Lyric with me and I didn't want to panic him. So I have a blood pressure cuff at home, so I'm checking
Mhm.
it, and you know, he's there, and I'm like, you know, kind of telling him things, but not telling him what's going on. So I'm like, hey, buddy, do you know how to dial 911 or dial mama on my phone? You know, here, let me show you that, you know, and like, just in
Yeah.
case, you know, and
I didn't have a blood pressure cuff, and I knew something was wrong, so I just drove myself to the ER. They took my blood pressure, and they were like, "Let's go, you're staying," and they just pulled me in the back. It was the same thing.
yeah,
I
I
was
ended up
way up
there for
there.
like 5 hours. But what was real
Mhm.
funny is I got the pressure down myself before I went in. You guys ever seen the Karate Kid 2?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Me and Lyric just sitting on the couch,
Really works.
made a game of it, and we got it down to a normal level. Then I called nurses hotline.
Awesome.
They said, get in.
I am glad that you did because, like
But
I
we're all
said,
good now.
whew. It's scary though when you can't control it. It's scary because I was trying
Well,
everything I could think of, and it wouldn't go down. I just couldn't get it to
we're
stop.
going to make some
Rolo says
lifestyle.
we're getting old. Rolo, we're
Yeah,
not
kidding.
old. We're vintage.
Kidding. I think I passed old a little while ago.
Well, look, let me talk about that just a second. Now, you got to get me started on the word vintage. According to eBay, if it's more than 2 years old, it's fucking vintage. So there we go.
I'm antique
That
then.
is true.
Now, I'm starting to feel my age too. What's the song? How does it go? I can't do all that I once could, but I can do once anything I ever could.
Toby Keith.
Yep.
Yeah. Was it vintage? Lose paint loss, and broken joints. Yeah. Well, you know, that kind of reminds me of what was it? The Mary Tyler Moore show. I think Rhoda had brought a table in, and she said she was going to antique it, and she started beating it with a chain, and we're going to make it an antique and sell it for even more because it's all tore up looking. And Radical Toys says,
well, speaking of ways to
vintage.
Anyway, go ahead, years Margo. Is vintage technically. I was going to say, speaking of ways to reduce stress, one of the reasons we asked y'all here today was to talk about how do you play with your toys? What do you do to relax and enjoy your collection? And be kind of interesting to get a take on how y'all enjoy what you collect.
We had started this discussion on Friday on the open mic show. Jones, I don't know if you were here for that, but I would like to start with you because I know that you play with your toys. I've seen it in action. So one of the things that I had started the discussion off. I said there's different ways that adult collectors play with their toys and different play patterns that we have. Of course, there's the display play pattern where we put our toys on display on a shelf. Then there's the play pattern where we do action figure photography, where we put our toys in different poses and make pictures of them or videos. But there's also a play pattern, and I fall into this category quite a bit. And I know World Made of Cardboard, he admitted to it as well, where we actually take our toys and so I'll start with you, Jones. Do you play with your toys, and tell us a little bit about the play patterns that you do?
I'm guilty of all of it. I like to do the toy photography. I'll make a little battle pose. We'll take some pictures. We'll put it on Instagram or whatever. I like to do stop motion, which is very time consuming and irritating. But yeah, then every once in a great while, I might just do something for me, and we'll just sit there and you'll never take me, He-Man, and we'll just have a little fun. And sometimes when Lyric's down, we'll be in Lyric. We'll take like army, like I'll play the bad guys and Lyric will play the good guys. We'll build a battle, So I mean, it's fun to have my son to play with, because I have a kid's perspective. Not that I'm not a big kid myself, but he might think of something I didn't, you know. But I mean, yeah, I'm guilty of all of it.
And Michael Purvis talked about that a little bit on Friday as well. You don't so much play with your toys as display them. Is that correct, Mike?
Pretty much, yeah. I do different poses and take pictures, like, you know, but that's about it.
All right. And Wilhelm Toy and Hobby. I have a sneaking suspicion that you're guilty of playing with those toys that you have in your collection.
Absolutely, all the time. As a matter of fact, I probably do more playing than displaying. Most of my displays are just like me heaping everything together and putting it on a shelf to get out of the way to play with something else. So I do have to get better with that, this next year.
And Rolo says that he's guilty as well, and I knew damn well he was. It's just something that we can't help as toy collectors, especially if you're like me. I'm an out of box collector for the most part. The only thing that I haven't opened up here recently is my NECA toys, because I'm afraid that if I take them out of their packages that they'll fall apart. But yeah, I love to play with my toys. I like to do crossovers with my toys, especially if they're all within the same scale. Toys from different toy collections can interact with one another, and sometimes that shows up on Weird Fantastic Toy Adventures in some of my videos and photography.
Yeah, and just for you guys that don't play with your toys and you like to keep them in the package, there's something even better. You can actually get virtual toys that will never age; they'll never get crumbled. Just head over to McFarlane Toys, and they'll sell you some imaginary toys at the same price as the originals. So it's always a good way to do it.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds like something that NFTs and all that crap
that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah, it is. I'm sorry. I
don't understand the point in that.
Yeah, I don't see any point in that either. It's just weird. Just another way of making money. I think McFarlane Toys is getting in on the action here as well on that.
Mattel too.
Yeah, Adam says that he takes pictures of his toys and then breaks pictures up into animation. And I agree with Gojitron. NFT stands for no effing toys. And let's see. Mattress Man in Mexico says they will fall apart. Only NECA I ever had was Ming, and his arm fell off immediately. Great sculpting, but NECA again. Yeah, I don't know what it is about the plastic that they're using over there at NECA, but I think it's made out of chalk.
I don't think I've ever had a NECA.
Well, I've got a couple of them back here in the box. That they look absolutely wonderful. This is Mandrake the Magician here. And that's a cloth good cape that he's got back there. It looks like he came with a pistol that I don't remember him ever using, and he's also got his cane here. But they look beautiful. But I'm afraid to take them out of their package because I know what's going to happen to them if I do. They're going to just fall to pieces. And now, Largo, you had some experience with NECA toys. You said that you used a heat gun or some hot water or something and kind of got the joints loosened up a little bit on yours.
Yeah, the earlier NECAs, like some of the Aliens and Predators they did, the plastic is extremely brittle, and no matter what you do, more often than not, you're going to have something break. Some of the newer ones they've done, like the Flash Gordon and the Ming, they seem to have made a few improvements in the plastic they're using and the paint technique. So warming those up, heating up the joints, and treating them with some kid gloves, they seem to be doing all right compared to some of their earlier offerings.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is going on over there at NECA. It just Rolo says he's suspicious of any toy company that writes on their boxes that they don't do toys. That's I don't know, that's bad marketing right there.
They're technically not toys; they're adult collectibles.
Yeah. And of course, none of us adults play with our toys, do we?
No, never.
Michael bowed out here. He may come back later. He may have some technical issues going on there. And Michael, you got the link. You can come back anytime you want. Let's see what Rolo says here. $60 for the figure, 100 for the fix. Well, speaking of which, I was looking at another channel. I believe it was Pixel Dan. I don't know if he's put a video up of this yet, but he did post on Facebook and on Instagram that he got the new Dungeons and Dragons cartoon figures in, and Hank the Ranger's hand broke off immediately coming out of the package. And then he bought a replacement for it, and the replacement, and he heated it up and did all what you're supposed to do with it, and it did the same thing. So apparently Hasbro is decided to use the NECA recipe for making toys.
Yeah, I seen that video, and that's disappointing, you know, because I mean, it's bad enough it to happen once, and then for it to happen on your replacement that make good. I mean, where do you even go from there?
Yeah, well, that I don't know what it is. It's like the Batwing. The Batwing is notorious for the cockpit breaking. Now, I noticed that you did a video recently with the Batwing, Joneser, and you actually flipped the thing open and didn't use your hand to help it come open, and it did not break. Or did it eventually break and you just haven't gotten around to showing us?
No, it didn't. It even passed the Lyric test. Lyric played with him, and he popped it about 1 million times, and it didn't go. I almost think the more you do it, the better off it is. The first one I did, I held my hand there. It was off camera. Then I tested it a couple more times, and I do think I might pop that spring out and take the tension down on it.
Yeah, I've had my Batwing apart. I've got two. Okay, I've got one. It was the first one I bought. It did break. It broke immediately as soon as I even popped it open carefully, and it was already broken straight out of the package.
Wow.
Yeah, I fixed it. I fixed it with a little bit of wire and glue, and it worked after that. And I bought another one just in case. And I think I took it out of the package, carefully opened it, saw that it was intact, put it back in the package. So I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed in that, but I noticed that the Supermobile is better made, and the spring is not nearly as tight as the one that's in the Batwing.
Yeah, it's sturdier, and quite honestly, Lyric had more fun with the Supermobile with the arms punching, you know, and I think Darkseid must have got pummeled at least 1,000 times.
Right.
Table,
right.
you know?
And if any of you guys want to get into the Superpowers game, now's the time to do it. The figures are on clearance right now at Walmart. I haven't seen the vehicles on clearance yet, but there's so many of them clogging up the shelf that I'm sure they're going to hit that clearance shelf.
They will, and I'm definitely going to snatch a couple of each other.
Yeah, and
what do you think that bodes for the future, though? Because they got Nightwing, Deathstroke, and Wonder Woman coming. You think that's going to be it?
So, what I think happened with that line was it seemed to have a distribution problem when it first launched. So you know what I mean? The demand for the product was there, but they weren't available. And that lasted for months, where even in streams, and we were talking to each other and people were finding, little bits here and there. And then some other Walmart would get an entire cardboard stand full of them. But, another city just over would have none ever. They didn't show up into my Walmart until, fourth quarter, just recently.
Yeah.
And now they're filling the pegs because I think people went elsewhere. So it's that's
exactly what happened, Will, and it happened to me because I did a couple of videos about trying to find the dang things and never could find them.
I never had any. Then Flash and only Flash showed up at my Walmart.
Yeah, well now that the news wore off and all the people that wanted them have them, suddenly Walmart's flooded with them, and they're peg
Yeah.
warming like
So
hell.
I don't know if that means they overproduced or if they just their timing and distribution was the
Their
problem.
timing was
So
way off on that, and people were wondering when the Wonder Woman wave is going to show up. I've got a feeling that that wave is not going to show up until after the spring reset, which should happen here within the next few months at Walmart. You know, the everything that people were going to buy is bought off the shelves at Walmart right now. Most
Happy
Walmart,
New Year.
like
New
a
Year to you too.
wrecking crew, went through the toy section, but all those superpower stuff are still there, just gathering dust. And what I'm afraid of is I'm afraid it's going to be Motu Wave 2 all over again with the Wave 2 of McFarlane Toys. Walmart bought everything they wanted on Wave 1, and they're going to skip Wave 2, and we're going to have a hell of a time finding those figures. And the Invisible Jet and Batmobile that we've been promised. I mean, I'm really wanting that Invisible Jet more than I do anything else. Deathstroke the Terminator and Invisible Jet and possibly Nightwing are the three things I want out of this wave. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen there.
And see, I was hoping
Yeah,
we would
I think
get
that's
down
the
the
double
line
whammy
to-
of it being a Walmart exclusive and the fact that distribution is kind of goofy. And like Adams pointed out earlier here, you know, it's on clearance in some places, and yet other places haven't even gotten their first issue of stock yet.
Yeah,
hey, I have 3 different Walmarts that I frequent, and one. Remember those freaking Eternals figures were full price for? They went on clearance for like $1 off. They still have them after Christmas. All the other stores marked them down and got rid of them months ago. So you
yeah.
know, it's just like
I
I don't
haven't
know if
seen
the
any.
manager decides what goes on clearance or not because like it's inconsistent between stores.
Speaking of the Eternals, they're going to make a sequel to that movie, unfortunately.
Tell me you're
See, I
joking.
probably got
No, I'm not joking.
I probably got like 6 or
Wow.
7 Walmarts within an hour of me. And
Mhm.
when that wave hit, I was checking them all. And I found the display one time at one Walmart. All the other ones, I must have went to anywhere from 8 to a dozen Walmarts.
Yeah. So I mean, I could just be speculating and not know what I'm talking about, but it feels like they goofed up, and you know, when the demand was there, they didn't have the product available, and now stores are sitting on it. And if they roll it out, and remember, they even hit the stores without any notice. Like people weren't expecting
Well,
them.
here's the
It
thing,
was
Will.
early. They weren't expecting them, and then they just start showing up on social media.
Well,
People
I
were
went
finding them.
to a local Walmart, and I was using an online tool that tells you whether they have something in stock or not by the UPC number, and it said they had them. You go over there and you look, and they never would reset the damn shelf. This was right before the Thanksgiving reset or the end of summer reset, and they never put the shit out. They never put the shit out, and then they started resetting the shelves, and they still never put the shit out. And then I went and found the lady that was in charge of toys in Walmart, and she was real ugly and suspicious of me when I asked this. But I'm like, I know you got it in stock, and the girl said it's in the stock room. Can't you get me one? No, it'll go on the shelf when it goes on the shelf. And then they waited until right before Christmas to put the crap out there, and now it's all over the shelf. Hell, they could have made sales that day if they. I would have bought all the crap from them that day if she went in there and got it for me. No Way Farms is in the house. Hey, good to see you, man. So
See,
yeah,
I remember back in the like late 80s when the Ninja Turtle craze was big. And as a little tyke, everybody was into the Ninja Turtles. We went to, I think it was Kmart, maybe. And I was there with my mom, my sister. I'm a little kid, and a couple turtles on the shelf, but we're looking through the pegs. We're trying to find one. And we been asked. One of the associates saw me and a couple other kids digging and said, "Oh, hey, we got a whole bunch of more of these in the back. We'll go get it out." And he brought the whole box. And we all got to dig through them, happy little kids. And then once I learned that little trick, you can ask somebody and get something out of the back. We used to incorporate that into our toy hunting. and they were happy to do it. Nowadays, man, they don't even act like they know anything in the back. They're like, they can't be bothered to help you or even be nice about it. It's like you said, well, it comes out there when it comes out there. Old Night Shift does that, or customer service dead.
Yeah.
That reminds me of something. The Motu display that Target had, the cardboard display of the re-release of some of those figures that never made it out.
Wave 2.
A lot of people were getting those, but a lot of people were being told, "No, we can't let you have that. We have to destroy that."
I was told that. That's what they told me. They said it has to go. Or that anybody that's taking it, it's actually they're not supposed to.
Now I don't know.
They told me the same thing, that it's going to go in the dumpster.
Customer service is dead. Retail employees just count the minutes between break time. Well, a lot of that has to do with the way they're being treated. I don't as much blame.
I think it's just that these stores are too big. When I managed a KB toy store, it was about 3,000 square feet. It was a bigger one in the strip center, and I did know what was in my back room because I worked there every damn day. I worked there like 60 hours a week, so I knew every damn thing in the back room. And if it was a hot product, I got it right away because I wanted to sell them. You know what I mean? So I did have Hot Wheels collectors back then. The McFarlane's sports figures were really big, so I'd have like scalpers coming in every morning looking for them. But what I would do is just to make it fair for everyone, I wouldn't just let one guy come in first thing in the morning and get them. I would put them out usually the night before. So when we opened the doors, they were just on the pegs and everyone had a fair shot at them.
Well, also,
people would ask me, do you have
days. That was back in the good old days too, when the manager had a little bit of say on what was ordered for the store.
People used to try to bribe me for Hot Wheels cases, sports figures, the starting lineup figures. And, I didn't do that because it wasn't worth my job. You know what I mean? To make $20 from some jerk, I got a job here. I got, it was my career at the time. And, I wouldn't put it aside for that. And I like to be fair to everyone. But some people would come in and say, "Do you have this in the back?" And I would say, "Nope." And they would go, "You are not even going to check." They'd get all mad at me. And I was like, "Hey, listen, you may not believe this, but I actually take pride in my job and I do know everything in my store. Like I am on top of this stuff, So I would never answer too quickly. I would go in the back, walk around a little bit, maybe just talk to an associate for a minute, and then turn around and go back and say, "I checked and you don't have them." Because if you didn't do that, people wouldn't believe you.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, I knew everything in my store. Nothing got by me.
Yeah.
And, I was also a huge fan of these toys, so I knew what was hot and what was not. I think the only time something escaped me was Pokemon when it first came out. I spent the whole afternoon making this beautiful display, putting them in there, making it look just like the picture in the planogram. I came in the next day and it was empty. And I thought somebody moved it. So I was pissed off. I was like, "Who moved my display?" And they're like, "No, they sold." I'm like, "Yeah, we sold some of them, of course." And they're like, "No, they're all gone." And I'm like, "Someone stole them." I looked up the sales report. We sold every single piece within like an afternoon. It was crazy. Wow. I didn't know they were going to be that popular.
Oh yeah, Pokemon was popular back in the day. I don't know, is it still? Because I still see Pokemon.
Yeah, it's still pretty. It's moving. It's not like we started answering the phones. "Hello, thank you for calling. We don't have Pokemon cards," for like months because that's pretty much it.
Wow.
People would just hang up.
Well,
that
kind of reminds me. Was it last year? I mean, of course, a lot of that had to do with the Coof madness, but they actually stopped selling trading cards for a little while in Target because people were actually fighting each other over the damn thing.
I guess they released them on a certain day of the week or someone knew, or, because with the internet, everyone knows everything. So they know what time you get your truck. They probably have GPS tracking it to the location, real time inventory data and all this stuff. And yeah, they were showing up, and really it was it's like the secondary market is all of the business that some of these big retailers do, but there's no one person. That's what I'm saying. They're too big for their britches. No one is controlling it. No one's involved. It's all done by computer and it's all automated, and no one cares. There's no one in the store that cares about the inventory. or cares about the distribution or is like in the know when it comes to these products.
I see a kitty cat.
Yep. Got 4 of them.
Is it a he or a she?
She,
Did she get up on the shelf and play with your toys?
they're too high up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say, I think that
Never
it
say
might
too
be
high to a cat. They have
Yeah.
the ability. It's like a superpower of getting up there somehow, and you don't have any clue how they do it.
Yeah.
if they could, I'm sure the cat would go up there and just every one of those monkeys.
Absolutely. They're bad about that.
Yeah, I have to keep the door closed.
I've got one around here. He likes to come down here sometimes when I'm down here. I generally keep this room locked off from him. They hate that. They don't like it when you lock a room off from them.
Yeah, they don't.
And Radical Toy says Pokemon's still booming there. We have somebody on Twitch saying hello to us. Hello there, T8422. Good to see you. But yeah, it's very interesting about what stays in popular consciousness as far as toys go, and what stays evergreen and what does not. For some reason, superpowers and Motu, they keep coming back, but they're not as evergreen as, like, say, Pokemon or something like that. Any of you guys got any comments about that?
You know, I mean, you can kind of look at Transformers became real big again when those movies came out. Ninja Turtles has had a couple different coats of paint. G.I. Joes have come back to a certain extent, but a lot of the times it's the older folks like us that like collecting them and not so much the kids. You know, when the kids collect something, it's usually of a video game variety or an electronic app variety. And I don't think they really care for toys like we do.
Yeah.
With few exceptions.
And Radical Toys has got a question for you there, Will. He says you can multitask well. What's your secret?
I think it's the time delay because I think I was typing when I was just saying hi and happy New Year to Radical Mom. I saw Mary Atwell in the chat.
Hi, Mary.
Yeah, so nice to see you.
I said hello to Radical Mom earlier today. It's good to have her here. Yep. And our Twitch fan here, T8422, wants to ask us a question. And type your question in, and then we'll be happy to answer it if it's within our purview here, within our bailiwick, if you will. But yeah, so yeah, it's just weird, especially with Masters of the Universe. You know, Masters of the Universe very, very popular back in the 80s, and then it kind of went away. Dipped away, and then they brought it back with the 2000X, and that didn't work well at all. The figures did not sell. The cartoon show was excellent, but we never could find it on the air because they kept moving it around, and then it kind of died away. And then, of course, was it Matty Collector came out with the classic series, and I missed out entirely on that.
Then it dipped again.
And then Super 7 took over when they got rid of the guru over there who was guruing everything up. And then Super 7 took over, and it wasn't the same. And they at least they got the Snake Mountain playset out, that huge white elephant. And then it went away again, and then Origins came out, and Origins has been doing fairly well, but we tend to wonder about what's going on with it. And we discussed this on another live stream about the future of Motu Origins. We find that some things tend to peg warm, and other things are just impossible to find. And then other things wind up on clearance. Speaking of which, Flock Panther is on clearance at Walmart's right now if they haven't already sold out. At about
and Bill, that's on Walmart.com as well. Just the other day, I was on Walmart's website, and they're doing that clearance price on Walmart.com if you're not close to a physical store.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, and of course they hung on to those flock panthers for over a year, refusing to put them on clearance. And I think Walmart put them on clearance. I don't think Mattel had Walmart put them on clearance. I think Walmart just sick of them and trying to get rid of them now. So I don't know what's going on with our Motu brand. I know that they keep putting out stuff, and some of it's easy to find, and some of it's not.
I gave up at retail. I mean, Target's about been the only thing I can hit. I go to Big Bad Toy Store. If I find it at retail, great. If I don't, whatever. You know, if it's a Target exclusive or a Walmart exclusive, then I'm hunting by no choice of my own. You know, but I mean, my Walmarts I don't think they've had any fresh Origin stock in a year.
I agree. Yeah, it's about the same here.
Shaitan's Hammer telling us Good Bad Flicks just did a retrospective on the live action movie and the Motu brand. Is Good Bad Flicks a YouTube channel? If so, I'm going to have to check them out.
Yep.
And T844 just posted a big long thing that I'm not going to show on the screen here. Basically, he's planning on filming his progression of fixing his life, and he wants to do it on TikTok, which I have no desire to look at anything on TikTok, but that is a platform, and wants to know if we have any tips. Well, I'll tell you what. The tip master would be Rolo. He's on Twitch there with you. If you and Rolo could talk about that together, I'm sure Rolo can give you lots of tips on how to film and stuff like that. Speaking of Rolo, he says the Roton lays here like stones. Walmart did not restock Origins at all, and the only thing I get here now is CGI. I've noticed that Walmart's weird. They won't carry all the waves. They'll carry certain waves, and they'll buy enough of those waves to where they don't have to buy anything else until that wave sells out. And then by then they've skipped 2 or 3 waves. Have you noticed that too, Jones? Or
yes, especially the buzz off wave, and Jitsu and all that was very readily available.
Guys, I think it has to do with no human interaction or no one who really cares moderating these things. They're just too big. It's all done electronically. So, you know, maybe the order to buy more is when they sell a certain amount, and they're not distinguishing between wave 1 and wave 2. It's just the same widget to them. You know, it's the same product, but it is vastly different to a consumer and to a collector. You know, but they're just seeing how many units they have, so they're not buying more, and no one's intervening.
On that same idea, when I talk to some of the people in the toy section that are actually helpful or trying to be helpful, one of them was like, yeah, we don't order these because they don't sell. And I said, every time you have new ones, they're gone. It's these ones that don't sell.
Yep.
So they do not differentiate between it. To them, it's a Masters of the Universe toy. It doesn't matter if it's Buzz Off or Ethan or T. They don't care. He's just like, they don't sell. And I said, I'm telling you they do, because you never have any.
Yeah. And we used to,
well, you know, every kind of brings up a good point where we
World Made of Cardboard
talked about World Made of Cardboard. Howdy. Talking about play patterns and how we are inspired. Back in the day, you guys remember the toy aisle was a big deal. They would have these grand displays, whether it was G.I. Joe or Motu, where they would go all out. You know, whoever was the manager of that toy division would put a display together using the figures to give kids some creative ideas on how to play with the characters. They would put end caps up that would really draw attention to certain lines, especially around the holidays. We don't see much of that anymore.
I agree.
Will, you've worked in retail. I know a few of you guys have as well. Mm-hmm. What have you seen in how that works?
No, it's you know, garbage in, garbage out, and it's just this big, you know, automated system doing it. And like I said, it's too big. It's too big, and I guess, you know, one person could manage the entire Walmart, you know, store-to-store inventory like that. I was in a much smaller shop where every week, or I think it was bi-weekly, we would do a business summary where we would go through pretty much everything we sold in the entire store, analyze it, and if you were really good at that, you could actually, if you knew what you were talking about, you could talk to your buyer and you could get more product. So, in my store, let's just say, my planogram had planned for this much, but I said, I've noticed the last 3 weeks I've been trending selling this much. Can you send more to do that and we can increase sales? And yeah, absolutely, it would work. Um, if you just said, I really
Yeah.
like G.I. Joe, send
What
me
do you
more
think
G.I.
about
Joe,
that,
they wouldn't
John? I
do
know
that.
you kind of look at these things with a more analytical eye. Did you get some inspiration from some of those store displays from back in the day?
Oh yes, yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
just
yeah.
you're
I
loud
had
and clear, 5x5.
I had trouble with my mic a minute ago. Yeah, I that was one of the reasons why I went to the toy stores a lot. Just to even after I couldn't afford to collect for a little while, I would go there, look at the displays, see what they had. Many centuries ago, about mid '90s, I actually worked at Toys R Us. I was one of the guys that kept track of the big ticket items in the back, bicycles and play sets and stuff, and put those little. You remember those little tags that stick out?
Hmm.
I was the
Oh
one
yeah.
that kept track of all that, and it was amazing how just much stuff was on the shelf. It was when Toys R Us was laid out. Aisle 7C was the big action figure aisle. You went to that aisle, there was G.I. Joe, Star Wars, whatever else. Well, by the time the '90s, Star Wars really wasn't there, but it was starting to pop back with Power of the Force. But even in Walmart, I can remember when I was in high school and earlier, I'd go to Walmart and there would be just entire sections to Transformers and G.I. Joe, multiple vehicles, multiple. Now you're lucky if you get a single column of figures hanging on the shelf, and mostly they're all the same figure or something along those lines. It's just really kind of sad, I talked with a guy the other day. There was a Christmas party at his house, and he has a huge room filled with just Star Wars stuff. He's three and
Cool.
3/4 inch. He's got a bunch of the Stan Solo stuff, and I think he was impressed that I recognized like the Iconicon Boba Fett and a couple of the other things. But he said that with the going to 6-inch figures, companies are not putting out the multiple figures that they used to. Now they're lucky if they get out like 80 figures in a year instead of the hundreds that they used to. And I think that's really telling to companies catering to a collector's market more than they are to the to the kids market. Now, yes, you can still find kids toys; they're still out there. In fact, today when I was in Walmart, I always go down the Imaginext aisle
Yeah,
because they've got some really neat stuff.
they really
Still
do.
still play sets, still things like that. That's what I always like toys to be toys, something that a kid can play with and everything. I'm going to say this, and everybody's going to go, "Oh!" I really don't like it when companies put out toys strictly for collectors because they have limited themselves. I know that article that Retro Blasting and 3POA examined the other day said that we're a quarter of the market now, or along those lines. And yes, I agree, it is growing, but we're not the bread and butter of a toy company. We're not. I mean, when our generation, I am 51 years old, and I've already pretty much stopped collecting modern. I just basically said, forget it. None of this modern stuff I'm even interested in. And I told my wife the other day, if I still had my collection that I had to sell off when I lost my job way back in late '90s. I had a whole bunch of G.I. Joe stuff, lots of Generation 1 Transformers. I was collecting Power Rangers during the '90s. I had all sorts of things. And if I'd still had all that, I would probably still be collecting stuff. And I would have a huge display and everything. I mean, I pretty much filled up the living room in our first house we were in, and it was just all sorts of stuff. And that is now I'm like, well, what is the purpose of me doing that? So I kind of don't do that. What I do is I'm going after the things that I grew up with and I enjoyed, like Quick Switch here, and I'm using them more as just an examination of how they transform, what they do. Since I'm building little robot things and other vehicles and stuff, I'm looking at it like, okay, they did this and made this fold under. Is there a way that I can incorporate something similar to that in a paper model of some sort, a paper toy? And that's how I play with them now.
So for you, your adult play pattern is more about dissecting and looking at the engineering of a toy and seeing how maybe you can recreate that in papercraft, which is a very unique way of looking at things. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and I also look at a story behind it too. Like I can remember when I started coming up with the idea, one of the things I had always wanted to do was make my own little action figures out of paper. And I was thinking of all these humans and aliens and all this stuff, but there's one little problem with paper. I don't know, have you guys felt your heads lately? They're rounded. It's nice and round. It's hard to make a round head out of paper, really hard. But I wanted these things to be where a person can, even when I was in college, I wanted it to be where people could pull them off of or find them and build them themselves without any major problem. And when I saw the internet had come out in the mid 90s, I was like, yes, this would be the way to do it. Of course, the technology was still pretty primitive then, but now it's here, so we can do it. But it's really kind of a way to look at things and play and figure out how to do it in a papercraft thing. I mean, one thing I've got, I don't know if you saw this the other day, these boxes here are filled with the little army men figures, and I've been trying to sort them. I dumped them all into, these are two 33-gallon tubs. They literally fill up to right about here. Both of them when they're done. I've got some of the figures somewhere else, right? That's why there's a little space in them. But I'm kind of I would make as a kid, I would make paper models, play sets and stuff for them. And so I had just about every time period, and stuff. I was playing Doctor Who with my Star Wars figures. It was easy to switch over to the little 2.25-inch figures because, hey, there they are again. So but
you bring up another good point, John, and the idea that when you collect a large amount of things, sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees. If you have a large collection, maybe you don't spend as much time with the pieces that really mean something to you. And
right.
We probably are similar and pared down a lot of my collection and sold things off to try to get to the point where I have the pieces I really enjoy, and I spend more time.
You were bringing out a toy there. Sorry.
Nah.
I want to address Shaitan's hammer here and talk about that just for a minute. G.I. Joe 6-inch figures don't thrill him. The vehicles only exist on HasLab outside of motorcycles. That brings me to a point that a lot of us may not be aware of or everything. But when Star Wars first came out, it was not the action figures; it was the vehicles that they wanted to sell. The vehicles were the spaceships and the fighters and all that kind of all that stuff is what they wanted to sell, and they had that in a certain scale. So they made sure the action figures scaled with the vehicles, and the action figures were an afterthought.
Right.
And then it's the same thing now. So 6-inch, it seems to be the scale that everybody loves to collect, but it's not cost productive to make play sets and vehicles for action figures that size. And that's one of the reasons why you don't see those vehicles and play sets for, say, Marvel Legends. or for GI Joe is because it's just not cost productive to make such a big vehicle, and
Right.
that's why we're seeing it only on their online store HasLabs and shit like that.
And that's the way the 80s GI Joe line was. If I remember right, I'm trying to remember. I couldn't find the article. I used to get Tomart's Action Figure Digest, and they had a bunch of articles, and one of the articles was about GI Joe, the reinvention of it. And it came out about the time that the Mega Marines came out in GI Joe, and the guy said that GI Joe was primarily, it was one of the creators or the guys behind the line. I don't know if it was one of the designers or anything, but it was somebody that was behind the GI Joe line. He said that the vehicles were the primary thing. You want to fill up the vehicles with the figures. It was like they would sell the vehicles at a reduced profit margin because they can make their profit margin up on the figures. And so it's kind of like the printers and ink. You know, you can buy a computer printer for about $100, but you're going to pay about $100 for that little ink cartridge that goes into it as well. They're making their money off of that. So the thing that I don't like right now is if you look at what Hasbro is selling on the toy in the toy department, you've got a box about this big, and in it is a 6-inch figure. Look at their version of Power Rangers. 6-inch figure with little accessories in a box about this big. Their Fortnite figures, a box about this big, 6-inch figure. The Ghostbusters that they just got through with, 6-inch figure, box. G.I. Joe, Star Wars, you know, it's all falling into that. Even Marvel Legends is that. Now they're removing the plastic so you can't actually see the figures. And it kind of, it gets it down to where, okay, yes, they're all 6-inch scale, and if you want to play with Power Rangers and G.I. Joe, you can a little bit, but if you're going to do that, you're going to pay about $30 for the G.I. Joe figure and about $30, so that's $60 just for 2 figures. What are you going to do with that? What is a kid going to do with 2 little figures that their parents are like, don't you dare lose any of those parts because I'm not buying you another one. And then you have no vehicles. I mean, think of it this way. You got, I remember as a kid running up to my aunt and uncle around Christmas and whatever, look at what I got for Christmas. And it would be like one of the vehicles or something, like a Batmobile or a G.I. Joe vehicle or something. And I would put the figures in it and show them how it worked. And now they got the 6-inch, say, X-Wing fighter Luke, and the little kid brings it up to their grandparents who grew up with the Star Wars stuff and say, look at what I've got. And the kid and the grandparent will say, oh, that's X-Wing fighter. That's Luke Skywalker and his X-Wing fighter. Do you have an X-Wing fighter? Kid has to go, no, because he doesn't have it. It's not there. So that's it. I saw you raising your hand, Bill. What do you got up there?
Oh, I was saying like and subscribe. That's right.
Okay. Yeah, all right.
I was going to jump in here. You had mentioned earlier the Imaginext toys.
Yeah.
And I really think if we're talking about, you know, keep it to scale so we can have play sets and vehicles and all this fun stuff and have that playability for kids. Like Lyric really got into that Imaginext with the DC characters. We had like the Superman and buildings. They had the Batman.
Awesome line.
Missiles. I mean,
yes.
like
So many play features.
Cage. The Lex Luthor had a kryptonite cage to put Superman in. We played with these vehicles and things for hours, and I feel like in scale.
In 20 years, those are going to be desirable because lots of kids are going to have fond memories of playing with that Imaginext stuff.
Same thing with before all their licensed stuff.
Well, with the Imaginext line, they also went deep with the characters. There's a lot more characters in that line than there are on any of the other lines.
See, I don't have any of the Imaginext figures, but one day I was walking down the Walmart aisle and they had this little 2-pack of Cheetah and Wonder Woman. I think it was when the '84 Wonder Woman came out. And I was like, it is very difficult for companies to make female figures. They just don't look right or whatever. But these 2 little Imaginext figures were gorgeous. They were perfect. And I was like, this is what a toy should be. You know, something that the kid can play with, have fun with, and they get the point across. They can buy all these vehicles and stuff, rather inexpensive. And yeah, it really makes a difference. I mean, when you look back in the 80s, the TIE Fighter was $14.99 at Sears, and the X-Wing Fighter, well, I think was a little bit more. The Millennium Falcon, that big playset that I grew up with, loved, crashed every weekend because I watched Blake 7 and they had a Starship crash. So yeah, and that thing was only $25. Now something about the size of your dinner plate is $45, and it comes with little bitty figures about that big and about not even an inch tall. And they're saying this is for kids, and it's a choking hazard more than anything else. So,
well, now I'm going to bring up a point here. We're talking about 6-inch action figures and the inability to find any kind of vehicles or play sets for them to play in. Now, somebody brought up Fortnite. Now, Fortnite, for some reason, is coming out with lots of little vehicles with their figures. What the hell?
Yeah,
they
I
can
don't
do that, but Hasbro can't.
Yeah, they've got those little 4-inch figures, and they've come out with a whole great set of vehicles. There was times when I saw Fortnite the first time on the shelf, I was like, "These are nice. These are really nice."
And if you're a customizer, you can take those vehicles and you can customize them to use with your other figures as well. And Will, you're itching to say something about that.
I was just going to say I'm not collecting them, but Masters of the Universe are not much smaller than a 6-inch figure, right? They're just about 5 inches, and they do vehicles and playsets very well. So but I know that Motu has the nostalgia. They have the established property. So, starting a new property and doing that, probably not going to happen in the modern day, but it can be done. It's just that so many.
Oh, sure.
Why is Hasbro going to make vehicles and playsets for 6-inch figures when they don't have to? You were saying earlier that people would buy the playsets and then they would make it up on the margin with the figures. Well, they just removed the whole playset out of the equation, and they're just selling the figures at a huge profit. $30 for a 6-inch figure, and for adults, that's okay. You know what I mean? And so I get it. I think both things have a place in the industry, but they're not going to do it unless they have to. You know what I mean? And they don't. Because people like us are going to keep buying them. So, we speak with our dollars. They're making money on the 6-inch lines. So they're never going to innovate or change or do anything different until someone comes along and challenges them. And then when a new contender comes in and there's some competition, they're going to up their game, which we saw with the Classified series versus Valiverse. The initial release of Classified series were kind of a disappointment. Valiverse comes out and they have better articulation, better quality, more accessories. They're also coming out with a vehicle next year, or this year now. But there's so many great things coming. But then you saw this whole revision. They saw how successful the sales were when done right. That Classified doubled down, changed everything, stepped up their game, and had some of the best figures that they've ever released come out last year. So until someone challenges the big companies,
well, and those of us who are in our 50s and maybe a little older, we also remember back in the day when we had the 12-inch GI Joes. They managed to do vehicles, play sets, headquarters, accessory packs, and articulation.
All right,
so it's not that it can't be done. And the price point for those wasn't crazy.
Look, you're talking about play sets and vehicles. How come Barbie can get all that shit, but we can't?
Yeah, I think I posted that on Instagram. There was a Barbie Dream House for less than $100 that probably, I think it said on the package it weighed like 50 pounds. It's like 50 pounds of plastic for $100.
That's how much the little girl weighs playing in it.
And they had a
don't let it fall over on the kid.
Now, apparently, maybe the girl stuff sells better than the boy stuff. Maybe girls still play with Barbie dolls and boys don't play with action figures. I don't know what the deal is, but there's all kinds of cool stuff on the girl aisle. And look, me and Joneser, we're based as hell. We'll go down the girls aisle. We don't give two shits.
They
I
hide
will go
both
down the girls aisle and I'll buy shit off the
No,
girls
you're
aisle
kidding
and use
me.
it.
I gotta show you. Have you ever heard of Honeybee Acres? There's this little line in the girls' aisle, and it's like little furry animals, but they have like a VW bus that fits 1/18 scale figures for
Yeah.
$9.99. I have like a couple of them. I think they went on clearance at one point for like $5. Now they have a recolored version. They do little house and like dollhouse furniture that's about 1/18 scale. It's a little too big, but you know, I don't care. They're great. I bought a whole bunch
All
of
right.
them. I have one somewhere.
Lack brings up a good point. The Fisher Price dollhouse is epic. And if I'm not mistaken, he's talking about the Loving Families dollhouse, which is a 12-inch scale figure. And it's a dollhouse that works perfectly for action figures to live in and play in. And with a little bit of paint, you could turn that into Bruce Wayne's mansion. You could just
I've
turn
seen
it.
people doing that. A lot of people have done that. Yeah.
Yeah, the play set is if you don't have the play sets and vehicles, the child can't immerse themselves in that universe as well. I mean, yes, imagination goes a little ways, but it's like Michael French was saying in one of his videos, old videos. If Kenner had just come out with Luke and Darth Vader and none of the other figures, then a kid had to use like a 9-volt battery for R2D2. Imagination's not going to go much further than that,
Right.
you know. So you have to have something, and if you can't immerse the kid in that universe, forget it. It's not going to catch on. And one of my things I think that's happened with Hasbro, I am looking at, their stock has dropped just recently. They've had a bad year and with certain things, and mostly it's because of bad marketing. They tried to sell a 4-pack of Magic the Gathering card sets for, are you guys sitting down? Please tell me you're sitting down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$1,000.
Ah!
Yes, $1,000. I saw that on Michael French's, one of his little news things. And I was like, really? And I had to look it up. And I was like, you got to be kidding. Who said this is going to sell for that? Who in that meeting said that? And everybody agreed, yeah, that's going to be great. First off, I'm going to have to say there's a little bit of, and I'm just going to go total global here. And if you want to take this politically or whatever, I think we have an epidemic of incompetent leadership around the globe right now. And so that's one thing. And I think Hasbro's overhead for just their basic operations may be too high. It's way overpriced. That's why when some company like Valaverse puts a figure up for $30, it's loaded with stuff, has some excellent packaging, very detailed instruction. And what does Hasbro give us? This piece of cardboard packaging that doesn't even protect the figure, and it's only got like a couple extra hands, and the figures may not be painted all the way, stuff. And you just kind of you're just kind of scratching your head, okay, and they're charging $30 for it as well. What is going on here? Why is this happening? I remember when the Rise of Skywalker came out, and I say that, and I have to go clean my mouth out now. When that movie came out, there is a store nearby that where I live, all they sell is Star Wars. It's called Holocron. You can look it up. Holocron Toy Store. All they sell is Star Wars stuff. And when I went in to Walmart looking for Star Wars toys on the shelf, I was expecting a large number of products because when the Force Awakens came out, there were toys everywhere, and I would go into Walmart, there was nothing on the shelf. I mean, just a few little things that were like, oh, this is a Star Wars toy, but it's more like a little knick-knack thing that you would give to a kid. They'd break it and throw it in the whatever. Well, then I went to the Holocron store, and they had some of that like 16 figures. I can't remember how many it was, 3 3/4 inch figures. And I asked the guy, why there aren't any toys out for it. And he said Hasbro has decided with this movie just to put out collectors. There's no toys for collectors. There's no main line. His trade magazine had nothing for a mainstream line for Star Wars. We're talking about the toy line that defined what an action figure was back in the 70s. We're talking about a toy line that when the prequels came out, there were people standing in line at midnight at Toys R Us waiting to go in and buy the toys. You go in there and the entire aisle was filled with just Star Wars toys. And then on the supposed last movie of the trilogy, nothing. And
by then I think the shine is off the diamond. You know, I mean, it's just not what it was, you know, and I mean,
right.
the prequels where they had the hype, you know, but then when you get to the sequels, you know, I think after the first one, a lot of fans kind of checked out. I know I did.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Gojitron brings up a good point here. Toy sales are going down. Movies are underperforming. Several big streaming services are losing money. Consumers may finally be getting sick of the corporate garbage. Well, they're getting sick of wokeness, that's for sure. And that, you know, if you go woke, you go broke, or get woke, go broke. You know how they say it. A lot of that. It's that's like we were talking about the Eternals earlier. That movie sucked buttholes, and nobody watched it. The figures peg warmed, and then went to clearance, and even on the clearance aisle, they didn't go anywhere because nobody wanted that crap.
I think most people bought them to customize and make into other figures.
Yeah, and that's all they're good for.
From what I could tell, nobody bought them.
They could actually they could just repackage them as like figure blanks or something.
Yeah,
like
anything would be better than that. Yeah.
And sooner that these corporate suits realize that if you put out product that people want to buy, they'll buy it, and that goes for movie execs as well. If you put out junk that nobody wants, or that only the people or the bots over there on Twitter want, you're not going to sell anything.
Mm-hmm. I think that's one of the biggest things. A lot of these companies, and I agree with Gojatron there, toy sales going down, movies flopping and everything. If these toy companies don't get their own IPs, their own products, their own things out there and stable, when our generation dies off, these toy companies will collapse. I can guarantee you. I mean, have any of you? I remember growing up. Do you remember that little Fisher Price popcorn pusher? You push a little thing and it popped a little. Have you seen any of those around lately? No, there is nothing like that. Fisher Price owned that, if I remember right. There were products that they owned, that they had. How about a Nerf ball? Anybody seen a Nerf ball anywhere?
No, it's all the pew-pews.
That's all the handgun stuff, and that kind of if you want to see the
but you know what? Those were staples of like childhood. You would get a new one every year, and we would play with it until it fell apart.
Fell apart, right?
Or went in a puddle of nasty water. You ever have that happen? Oh,
yes.
Like went to a pond or something, and then it's like.
Yes, I left I had a Nerf. I had a Nerf volleyball that I left outside in Louisiana. You know, in Louisiana it rains every afternoon. Yeah. That thing weighed a ton after it soaked up all that.
But you'd get a new one every year. They were
right.
Yeah.
And how many of you do you remember the little Nerf character, Nerf Man? It was a little figure that you could, little glider that you could throw. He was made out of the Nerf stuff and had. I've looked for that. Those are things you can't find them now because they probably all disintegrated.
I have a suspicion that may be because children don't play outside anymore.
I agree.
True. And I think those toys, you know, when I was a kid, I would transition from one thing to another. I didn't just stick with one toy line and only play with that toy line. You know, I'd get a new Nerf boomerang. So I'd spend the afternoon with me and my brother. We'd be out there trying to make the damn thing work. And, you know, we're throwing it. We're learning new skills, though. You know, we'd get the Nerf football, and then we'd get together with the kids in the neighborhood, and we'd put together, you know, a quick game right there in the street or something, just because we had it. So, you know, getting those toys would kind of make us
Well,
move from one thing to another. And each one of
we're
those things
seeing
taught
with
us
these
skills.
newer generations coming up that smart devices make dumb people because
Yes.
they're not learning to
Exactly.
think.
Well,
They're
I
not,
can-
there
the
was
cognitive
a term bandied
process
about.
isn't being developed.
There was a term bandied about here a few years ago about digital devices, Google in particular, and it was called digital dementia.
I
And
will
and
have.
people can't remember anything because now they don't have to remember anything. They can always grab their smartphone and go find the answer. We find ourselves doing that all the time.
Guilty. I don't even remember my wife's phone number
Yeah.
anymore. And
But I
my
think
kids.
there's a difference between people who reached adulthood, figuring stuff out their entire, adolescence, and then using this device, now to enhance their lives, versus
Right.
someone who's never done any of that footwork or exploration or learning, and then just has been on a screen their whole life.
Well, that's why the millennials not as much, but the Gen Zers hate us Xers. Gen
Yeah.
Xers are hated because we are the ones who have to figure everything out for them because they can't figure out how to tie their own shoe. They can't pour piss out of a boot with instructions written on the heel. And we grew up in a time where we were pretty much independent. We had to do everything for ourselves. Nobody did it for us. And, I can remember, my grandmother would throw us out of the house and you could hear the door locked behind us as she threw us out of the house and don't come back with some stupid thing like, I need a drink of water. There's a perfectly good water hose over there on the side of the house that you can drink from.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Agreed. That's.
And
That's what's
Bill, I
missing.
think that philosophy of child rearing probably had a lot to do with what's happening in the development of toys. You saw toys that would actually challenge kids, whether it was something that you had to build, you had to, whether it was a chemistry set or Legos or the erector sets. It engaged your not only your cognitive ability, but your ability to follow directions as well. Some of those instructions were pretty complex on some of those construction toys. Those kind of things seem to be out of fashion now because the way kids are raised.
Yeah.
They even put in the sticker sheet on the action vehicles or play sets.
Yeah.
Like that was, some of those things were small, if you messed up too, that's your messed up sticker for
Dude,
life now.
G.I. Joe vehicles when I was a kid would come on a screw and you would have to cut them off. They were like snap together model kits, and my brother used to criticize me because he's like, if it's not a glue together model kit, it's not really a model kit. But I would love them. I would put them together, put the decals on them. It was my favorite part of getting a vehicle.
My favorite, besides Quick Switch, one of my favorite toys, and probably the favorite toy I had, was Six Shot. This is the Titans Return Six Shot. I bought him ages ago. And I remember spending what seemed like an eternity putting all the stickers on the toy. It came with that sticker sheet, and I'm sitting there carefully putting the stickers on and everything. This one, stickers were already put on, and there weren't very many of them. And I've noticed that with just about every new toy, it's already assembled in the box, and no kid puts it together and anything. And so you just kind of, there is a bit of, are our kids really getting that dumb where they don't know how to build their own toy or anything?
Yes. The answer to that question is yes.
I'm leaning that way too. So I can give you an example. I did a thing with some kids one time where I had a paper model of a little boat. All it was you cut it out, fold it up, and stick it together, and it had a little sail you'd put in top of it. That's all it was. I had to pull one of the adults off to the side because she was there going, "This is too hard. This is too hard." And I was like, "Could you shut up?" There was one kid, he did it perfectly. There were two others that were like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm like, let me show you. You just got to do this, fold it here. And they were able to eventually make the little boat, but the adult was making it difficult because she was complaining the entire time that she couldn't figure it out. And I was like, could you,
Well, that happened here within the last a decade, I would say. The advent of what's known as the helicopter parent. Have you ever heard that term?
yes.
That's the parent who hovers around the child all day long, doing everything for them. So why should they learn how to do anything for themselves? They don't even write their own book reports. Mama writes it for them.
Yeah, I've seen that, and I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. This kid's not going to be able to do. And it's creating a situation where we are literally going to have kids who cannot think for themselves. They cannot develop their own
Well,
thoughts. Cannot.
let's go down the conspiracy theory road here. What better way of controlling people than having zombies that can't think for themselves?
I agree.
Government, Big Daddy government will think for you and tell
Yeah.
you what to think. We saw that when the coup hit. Joneser, I saw your hand going up. Say what you have to say, sir.
I was just gonna say, I don't want to bury anybody, but I guess my ex-wife was a pretty good example of the helicopter parent, where she's always, protecting the kid from learning anything or being held accountable for anything. And what probably contributed to me and her being divorced is because, to counteract that, I ended up becoming the general, who was more of the, you're going to do it, and I'm telling you you're going to do it, and it's going to be this way, and that's it. And I ended up having to be a little more firm because they weren't getting it from anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of sucked that we couldn't stay a team and the kid get both ends of that. But, I since remarried, and, me and my current wife, we're a little more on the same page, where the kid is being held accountable and is being taught, hey, you messed up. Let's show you the right way,
Yeah.
I would be very curious to know how much of what's going on in child rearing, these toy companies are paying attention to, because they've got people on their payroll that are child psychologists, that are people who look at trends and then decide, well, what are we going to put in the market that's going to trends that the parents are going to buy for their kids. Now, I'm sure Kenner and older companies did it a little different than what's being done now, but some form of that still has to be going on. What do you think?
I have a question. I remember back in the day that the toy companies, Motu did it, Mattel did it with Motu, would have what they call play testing, where they would bring the kids in, they would have the toys scattered all out of the room, and the kids would just be, they wouldn't be told anything about what was in there. They would put them in the room, and then they would sit there and watch how they played with the toys. And they would take notes. What are the kids playing with the most, and what are they ignoring, and blah, blah, blah. Do they even do that anymore?
There are companies that is their job, to do the market research for everybody else. So yes, there is some of that, but it is very controlled. I see.
Yeah.
I mean, you can actually, I'm going back to my math background from college many centuries ago. You can actually set up a store in a way that will direct how every single customer will walk through the store, simply because, I can see you shaking your head over there, Wilhelm. You know what I'm talking. That you can get the people to go down certain aisles in certain ways, and when they come back up to the front, they know exactly where they're going to be at a point, and you kind of develop that. And the same thing goes with kids and how they play with their toys.
Yeah.
If the kids' imagination is lacking, they're not really going to have the ability to adapt in that toy situation. So, but when you have companies that don't understand, how shall we put this, like social media and stuff, they will misread stuff. That's like what I think is happening with Hasbro and this plastic-free packaging. They've gotten on this track of, oh, if we do what people on the internet say that is important to them, the environment and climate change and all stuff, then the parents will buy the toys. Not all the time. No, that doesn't work that way. Because a parent just wants something that their kid will play with, and that's it. If the toy is a piece of junk, it will come out as being a piece of junk. And you saw that with the Eternals, and because the movie didn't go over well, they vote with their wallet. They say yes or no with that, and it didn't go through. Same thing's happening over and over with all these movies that try to, or the entertainment that's trying to put out some agenda or some type of preachy type thing. Nobody likes to be preached to. Okay, that's the way it
It's
goes.
not fun. It's the opposite of fun.
Right. And so if you're buying a toy that has this preachy message behind it, you're going to be like,
Yeah.
nope. And there's a sense of, I can remember as a kid, how many of you, do you guys remember the first G.I. Joe miniseries, the Mass Device?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you remember I was watching it a few months ago. I could pull it. It's on Tubi TV. You can watch it anytime and stuff. There's a sequence in there where Duke is remembering his past and everything, and he's being put into this hypnotic state and everything. And my first thought was, even as a kid, I remember this. This is like Captain America. Duke is Captain America.
Yeah.
They
They show a
made him
scene where he's fighting off bullies or something.
Yeah,
and
that
I remember
is the definition of a hero,
Mhm.
and that's what heroes are. Well, this making things and when we grew up, all right, I grew up in the 80s, 70s, and 80s. I had the GI Joe stuff from the 80s. My brother, who was 7 years older than I was, he had the 12-inch GI Joe, and I can remember him looking at my stuff saying, "That's not my GI Joe."
Mhm.
We had the Star Wars things, and then there was Buck Rogers. The Buck Rogers from the 80s didn't look anything like the Buck Rogers from the previous generation. Flash Gordon, not even close. All of those things were changed, but the one core thing they kept the same was the hero. What is the hero? And now they're trying to adapt for the modern audience. The person who is there in the main character, the protagonist, already has all these innate abilities and has all this stuff, and it just happens to happen to them and everything. Nothing is more exciting, and I say that sarcastically, than a character where things just happen to them. They don't get out.
Here we go.
And-
Here we go. The hero's
Right.
journey. The hero's journey must happen for anything to resonate with people. If you don't take the hero on the hero's journey, if the hero is a Mary Sue character, like what was that Star Wars girl,
Ray.
who just magically was able to do all of these things that Luke had to learn and had to go through this long journey to get to. Why do I want to watch that?
There's a video online that is on YouTube, and I've seen this before. If you recall, Ahsoka Tano was introduced into the first Clone Wars thing. Everybody hated her. She was terrible. And I saw an article before this video came out that also confirmed she was created that way. The people that wrote the Clone Wars show knew that the people above them wanted this kid in there, this kid character in there, and they knew people were going to hate her. So let's go ahead and make it where she has all the things that people hate the most. And over time, they slowly peeled those things away. There's a thing called that. It's called character development.
Yeah.
And before long,
Yep.
she became the character that everybody's like,
Yeah.
wow, that is a good character. They were able to make her grow. And now I think she's been overpowered because Disney sees this, moneymaker, and they're still keeping her going.
Well, the problem that Disney has with all of the IPs that they've collected over the years is I think they sit in a room and they get a whiteboard out and they put all these check boxes on there of things that they need to do, and they just go, okay, we got to have this and we got to have this and we've got to have this, and that's not how you write a story. You don't write a story doing it that way. You have to write something consistent. You don't sit there and go by corporate dictate on how to write a good story.
Right. One of the things that you'll notice, and I think it was Martin Scorsese, I can't remember if it was him or not, they said that the Marvel movies were just theme parks, just one roller coaster ride after another. And if you look at it, you will see those type of events. You'll see this great scene of great action and suspense and everything. And then there's this muddled moment or several moments of, what are they doing now? It's just kind of dragging along. Then there's the next scene. It's like they come up with this great scene and then they don't know how to connect it together. And so, yeah, they do the checkboard on the board, like you were saying, Bill, and then they put it all together, and whoever wrote it up didn't know how to get from point A to point B.
Well, a perfect example of that is going to be the upcoming Indiana Jones 5, where they basically filmed a whole bunch of scenes, and it's like a jigsaw puzzle. They can make different movies by changing the pieces around.
Yeah, and that's going to be. I'm just kind of, when I saw that we're coming out, that was happening, I was like, okay. That was all I could say.
Yeah.
Gojatron had a great comment there. He says, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, Chupacabra, the modern audience.
Yeah.
What are things that probably don't exist for 1,000 Alex?
Right.
Well, one of the things that has been prevalent in pop culture is and I think that there's a force behind it. I can't say exactly who or what it may be, but they're wanting to destroy our pop culture icons little by little. Turn the hero into not a hero anymore.
Yes.
Make it into something that we don't remember.
Right.
We have to change all of these things for the modern audience. Why? Why is something that's worked for 1,000 years suddenly not going to resonate with a modern audience?
It's weird because the heroes of our past were doing the things that they're saying that we didn't have. Our heroic characters weren't all of these isms and things and bads that you see people being accused of today. Captain America never did any of those bad things. He was always the hero. You know what I mean?
I could tell you one thing from my personal life as a parent. My daughters, the only thing that they had to watch on weekday afternoons was PBS. Those big shows like Word Girl and Clifford the Big Red Dog and all that kind of stuff. And the part that got me, and I start looking back at it, was their message was, you could do anything you want to as long as you believe in yourself, and that was considered great. Well, I found there's a website called despair.com. They have demotivational posters, and one of them says, believe in yourself, because everybody else thinks you're an idiot. But but my youngest daughter in college, she inherited kind of from me this little ability to sit in a classroom and remember what was being said. And when you walk out, that was kind of one of the little traits I had. Not bragging or anything, because I didn't. It wasn't photogenic memory. It was just a photographic memory. It was just I could remember kind of what was going on. So when I got back to my room, I could write it down and put things in order and know how things happen. Well, my youngest daughter had that ability, and I told her, you better hone that, because if you don't, you're going to lose it easily. Well, she got to college where I had to learn to actually start thinking a little bit more advanced. She had difficulty in her first semester, and it was that And I kind of looked at it as that Clifford the Big Red Dog mentality. You could do anything you want to as long as you believe in yourself. It takes effort to do the things that you want to do. You've really got to work at it, you know? I mean, I am 51 years old. I am just learning how to put up videos on YouTube. I've been a 3D computer modeler for ages and stuff, so I've been doing that for, seems like centuries now. And doing all that, I can do all those things. I can make photorealistic images. I can do all those things. I can make mechanical designs. But when it comes to Facebook and Instagram, I'm having to ask my daughter how it works, or my wife, you know, and it's just, but it takes effort. If I just sit there and say, oh, I can do it, no, I've got to work at it. I've really got to struggle with it and figure it out.
And here's the other thing that's been lost on today's generation, because Sesame Street and all that has told them that they can do anything that they want to do as long as they believe hard enough in it. It's more than just belief, guys. But there are some things that you cannot do. Sorry.
Right.
I wear glasses. My vision is not 20/20. So when I joined the Army, I couldn't be a tanker. I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I wanted to drive a tank. That's what I wanted to do. And I believed so hard that I could drive a tank. And the Army came and said, no, you're not going to drive a tank. You're going to go over here and play in the smoke and wash vehicles and stuff like that, because you're not ever going to drive a tank, because your eyes are not going to let you.
Yeah.
So no matter how hard I believed I can drive a tank, the Army's not going to let me. So
that's the thing.
And another thing, we have to build our children's self-esteem. And while that sounds good, I can remember being in classroom and the teacher told us if we didn't act right, we were all going to either be dead or in prison.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with different levels and different abilities. Everyone's good at something, you know what I mean?
Right.
And you have to learn, rather than tell everyone they can be anything, because, the chances of you as a little kid becoming an astronaut or, out of this world, we'll just say, you can try. But what I'm saying is my dad always taught us, like, me and my rest of my siblings were all vastly different. You know what I mean? Some of us were better at other things than others, but there's nothing wrong with that. We all don't have to be like this one person, or we don't all have to be. You could find your own strengths and develop them by experimenting and doing different things.
That's the key. That's the key,
and achieve something and actually accomplish something. That's what I tell people like that are like they're getting down about something. I say, go out there, do something, accomplish it, and you'll feel better about it. You know what I mean? You got to try different things though to find out what you're good at.
That's the key, is finding out what you're good at. Now, I'm going to address Trapjaw here for a minute. I'm going to address Trapjaw here for a minute. He says Mr. Rogers was the one that told us to believe in ourselves. He did. However, Mr. Rogers was the one, and I'm going to talk about Mr. Rogers for just a minute, because hit a hot button. Mr. Rogers is my hero. You don't talk bad about Mr. Rogers on my show, and not that I'm saying that you did, but here's the thing about Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers said that he loved you just the way you are. Okay? He didn't tell you that you could be anything you wanted to be if you were in a wheelchair. He had that kid that was in the wheelchair on his show, and he highlighted what that kid was good at in the wheelchair. Okay?
Right. That was the thing that he did. Yeah.
Between telling somebody that they can do anything that they want to do, even if they're incapable or unable to do that, than telling somebody that you can do what you're able to do, and that's what you need to focus on.
Right. He also had a sense of that though you could do these things, you need to work at it too.
Yes.
He had that in some. It didn't just happen. You have to
and
really work at it.
Yes, a lot of times he would have guests on his show, and he would ask them how they got to the point that they were at, to show you that you had to work to get to that level. You don't start out being a master at whatever you're doing. Nobody starts out at the top of the ladder. You have to start at the bottom of the ladder and climb to the top. And sometimes that climb is a hell of a climb. And sometimes you got to fall off that damn ladder and crawl back over to the son of a gun and start back up again. And that's something that kids today don't understand. As soon as they fail at something, they want to quit right then.
Yeah. And looking
Well,
at
and
how
bringing it back around to the toys, the toys weren't just a distraction. They were often also used as a tool for learning, whether it was in the classroom or for the parents to give examples to the children.
And a lot of
That's
times,
something we seem to have lost.
Not
as
just
well.
educational toys is what Largo's talking about. It wasn't just educational toys. It was all toys in general. I mean, we'll talk about girl toys for a minute. So what do girls do with their dolls? They play. They interact with the dolls, and it's showing them how to interact with one another when they go out into the real world. The same thing with our superhero toys or our Masters of the Universe toys. These toys would interact with one another. The child would play He-Man against Skeletor or Superman against Lex Luthor, and the interaction between those toys would teach them how to interact with other human beings.
Yeah.
When you would have, we would have, like, I would have the guy who lived across the street would come over to my house to play with my toys. And how would we play? We would play G.I. Joe versus Cobra or whatever. And those interactions were the way we socialized ourselves. Kids are isolated now. They do not socialize with one another except through the phone media.
I hear the weird, fantastic slow jam start.
Oh, that's the ducks. It's time to feed them again. We had a wonderful discussion today, and I think I kind of went off on a tangent there towards the end.
Yeah, that happens.
But, I enjoyed having each and every one of you here today, and you all contributed greatly to the show.
Thank you for having me on. I enjoyed that.
Great.
Yeah, super awesome talk, everyone. That was great. What a way to start the new year. Happy New Year,
It's always
everyone.
great talking with you guys.
Thank you so much.
And
chat.
Rolo
So many
says
great
it was
people
a
in
hell of
chat
a talk today, Bill. I'm enjoying it so much. Congrats on turning Sundays into a fixed point for collectors. So I want to thank everyone who was here today. Thank you all in the chat, and thank you, panel. I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye to everyone. And remember, together we shall triumph, and we'll see you all next time. Special thanks to these supporters on Patreon. Without your help, these adventures would not be possible. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's adventure, please hit like and subscribe and share the video.